Good morning. Welcome to Toy Talk with Grandparents, coming to you live from the beautiful mountains of Western North Carolina. We're very close to Asheville. My name is Margie Sigmund, and I'm an AARP volunteer. My co-host is Leanne Johnson. She's the director at our local history museum, the Swannanoa Valley Museum. Leanne thought it would be fun in honor of Grandparents' Day to interview some grandparents and would-be grandparents about toys that they loved as a child. So, for example, if I think about my childhood, which was way, way, way back in the 1950s, I think my favorite toy was Tinker Toys. There was so much you could do with them. They came in a tall, round box, and I could boss my baby brother around, not baby brother, my little brother around while we were playing. So we invite you to think about your own favorite toy when you were growing up. If you would, or if you like, jot it down in the chat along with any questions or comments. You might also want to tell us where you grew up and why that toy was important to you. So I'm going to turn it over to Leanne, who is going to tell us a little bit about some history about toys.
Hello everyone, my name is Leanne Johnson. I'm the Swannanoa Valley Museum Executive Director here in lovely Black Mountain, though we do cover the history of all the Swannanoa Valley. And today we are going to talk to you about toys and some of the more interesting toys that people used in the past. My personal favorite toy was the Legos. I love playing Legos, so I'm a lot like Margie in that respect. I like to build things, but I didn't have a brother to boss around. But I did enjoy my Legos. I like to build things, buses, cars, buildings, things like that. So we got a quick poll question for you. We wanted to know if you knew what the oldest toy was that's still popular today. So you see the question up on your screen. You have the choice of A, ring toss, B, corn husk doll, C, marbles, or D, jacks. And we'll give you just a few seconds to decide which one you think is the oldest. All right, looks like most of you picked C, which would be correct. Marbles are the oldest toy. They were used and have been found in many archaeological digs from all the way back to the Sumerian age, the Egyptians, and they've even been found in some of the older archaeological digs here in America, where most of the Native Americans actually used marbles for certain games as well. And we still use them today. They are very popular. They're a fun little toy to play with. So thank you for participating in that. Now I'm going to show you a few pieces of a few toys from our artifact collection. It's the Howe family collection. E.N. Howe, which is Edward Newland Howe, was the principal of the Swannanoa High School from 1926 to 1950, and he had a son whose name was Edward Keith Howe, and he donated some of his toys that he had as a child. So one of the ones I want to show you first is going to be his baby doll. Now these baby dolls are very interesting. They are porcelain top, hands, but then the rest of the body is a cotton fill. And they could actually order eyes to go inside the doll that looked exactly like whoever it was that was playing with them. So they could have very lifelike blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes. Mr. Howe's was brown. Not showing them today because they're very, very small, so it's kind of hard to see them, but they actually look very lifelike. So that's one of the dolls that he played with. Now his daughter, I have one of her dolls that his wife made a wedding dress. He crocheted a wedding dress and a veil for her. And this doll is made of plastic. So this would have been the mid-50s is when his daughter was born. And her eyes open and close as you lift her down and up. But she's a typical just baby doll. But his wife, Elizabeth Swain, actually crocheted this wedding dress, tatted the lace for the veil and the headpiece, which is nice. Now we're going to go back to Keith, excuse me. Keith also had a toy top that he played with. A lot of you might see these in antique stores. You pump the top of it, and then you let it go, and it spins and spins and spins. This is one of my favorite toys to collect. I actually have a pretty good collection of these. They're just fun toys to play with even at my age. So as a 40-year-old, I still enjoy playing with toys. Then the last one I'm going to show you is as Keith got older, his parents gave him more responsibility, of course. So they bought him a Daisy BB gun. And so the Daisy BB guns are very popular even today. You can still buy them today. They're one of the most popular BB guns on the market. They've been around since the early 1900s. And you can see on the stock that it says Daisy, but on the back, and I'll put this closer to the camera, you can see where he put in his initials, which is KH, which is Keith Howe. So thank you for letting me show off some of our awesome toys in our collection. We are going to have a mini exhibit of these toys and others during Christmas. So if you want to come out to the museum and check them out, please do. I'm going to hand it back to Margie.
Hello. Okay, I think we are ready to begin our interviews with some grandparents or almost grandparents. And our first person is Steve Studebaker from, I believe, Hendersonville. Hi, Steve.
Hi there. If you will, think back yourselves to some of your very earliest memories. As a young person, I mean, really young, 2, 3, I seemed that I was always with music in my head. I was humming, I was copying the radio, leading it from standing in the middle of the room, whatever. But that rhythm, that feel of your heart, the feel of nature and all the things around you, came to me very naturally. Oh, I have a wooden spoon. As a youngster, I would collect my mother's pots and pans and go out and play with them in the yard. Now, my mother didn't particularly like all that, so they collected those pots and pans back from me day after day, time after time, until they decided that maybe there was something else they needed to do for me. Well, they allowed me to go ahead and pick this up in the meantime, and I would pick just about anything. But now, they really didn't appreciate that, so they got busy, and they found me a toy drum. Well, the toy drum was a happiness to me. That was not exactly what they had in mind, but I have since decided that that was something really wonderful because in visiting Cherokee at age 6, they got me a bigger one. But they didn't want that noise all the time around the house. So they decided also about that time that they would get me something more musical. So they got a slide whistle. Which they found out was a really bad thing to have in the car, if you can imagine that as a parent. So they decided that maybe around 7 or so, I would go ahead and have what they call, or what is called now, a tin whistle or penny whistle. Well, maybe I'm not as good as I was then, or maybe I am as good as I was then. Around age 8, the school got us involved with little flutes that were maybe a happier sound, maybe quieter. Many of you may have had the same kind of musical instruments. In grade school later, it got me into band where I took up clarinet, followed by the saxophone, which I actually used to help get me through college. If you can imagine, the little boy used his music to make himself educated otherwise. I've always enjoyed the piano and all of the instruments, but my favorite instrument is one you have, your voice. Singing is one of the favorite things I have to do, whether it's a church choir or whether it's just a group of people around the piano or whether it's any group, there's more happiness and joy, and everyone likes to share in a good song. Take up singing if you haven't. No one should ever tell you you haven't got a good voice. Sing and be happy.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Our next guest is Viola Williams, and she's going to tell us about her favorite toy as a child.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
We sure can.
Okay. Due to the fact that I am working on not being computer challenged, I'm using my cell phone. Back in the day, before you guys were born, we had in our neighborhood, we thought we were pretty rich, but we were really pretty poor. During the Christmas time, we very seldom got a baby doll. If we did get one, it was always a little small baby doll with no hair. And we always wanted a baby doll that we could braid hair, plait the hair. So my sisters and I decided we'll make our own doll. And if you can see this, I hope let me see. It's a little, we would go out in the yard and get a grass, pull grass up out of the yard and make our own baby doll. If you can see it, I'm sorry you can't see this so well, but if you look real close, you'll see little ribbons on our baby doll. And I think Rebecca I sent her a picture of it. And we would get the straw from the ice. We used to carry ice on a stick. We didn't have a refrigerator. We had an ice box. So my sister and I would go to the ice house and get ice. We'll have, and the tie that you tie the ice with was kind of like straw-like. And we would take that apart and make that our bows, our ribbons for our little grass baby doll. Okay, can you all see that a little bit?
Yes, we can, Viola.
And then we couldn't, we go to Crassus because everybody had those little Barbie dolls and stuff where you change clothes and everything. We didn't have one, so we would go to Crassus or the 5 and dime store and get the little cutout dolls. But we couldn't afford it all the time, so we would make our own. If you saw that, I drew that doll, cut it out, and then we would put and make our own little dresses for them. And I'm putting it together. And we cut little shoulders and things, and we get decorated newspaper or whatever, and make our own little dresses for our baby dolls. If you notice, you can see where we would, you see the baby doll on the back of it, we will have the little hooks where you can hook the doll, this on the back of the doll. Okay, I'm trying to, I think I lost you guys.
Well, no, we can hear you, Viola, but we can't see you. So
okay,
we're looking at the baby doll.
You saw the baby doll?
Yeah.
So we will make a little latches on the top, cut it out, and so we can bend the little shoulders down and the waist down. And we had our own baby doll dresses. My brother was so unique. We would take skates, because we never got skates, old skates from the neighborhood, and he would connect it to a wood plyboard, and one old skate to the part where you used to take the skates apart. One part to the front, one part in the back, and he would make us a scooter. And then we were lucky enough to get a whole set of skates. My big brother would make skates on one set on both sides of a board, and the other set on the back. and put a strong board in the middle and tie strings on the front, and we were like the little rascals. We had us a go-kart.
Well, I
We
tell
were,
you, Viola, you and your family were certainly resourceful. That's for
we had
sure.
to be,
Yeah, well,
because
that's
we
right.
didn't get much, but we had a great time together.
Where did you grow up, Viola?
I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Okay. All
raised
right.
in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay.
But when I was 3, my parents moved to Charlotte. My father was a construction worker, and my mother did domestic work. Um, they were hardworking people that just didn't get paid much.
Yeah. All right.
So
Well,
we did good.
thank you, Viola. We're going to go next to Henry Bellata. He is a little bit further out in Western North Carolina. Tell us where you are right now, Henry.
Yes, I am in Morganton, North Carolina, and I was born in Baltimore and lived in a little town inside Baltimore called Curtis Bay. And when we grew up, we played ball and football and just played all kind of local games. But one of the things that one of the toys I like to show, it's called a babaloo. Babaloo. It's a stick, and it has like a nail, like a stem on it, and it's tied to a string. And this here part here has a hole, and the whole thing of this game is to put it down like so, and then to flip up the toy, and then and then you catch it. Well, this year we're coming blue, gold, green, and it's got some silver. Got some gold flaking on it too. And all of us were, when we played this here with a group, we would see how many times we can do it, we can catch it. And sometimes when somebody has like 3 or 4 times straight, some of us were kind of hit their arm or poke them inside the ribs to make them stop. But excuse me, yes. And then sometimes when you excuse me, I'm sorry. Sometimes when you poke somebody inside the ribs, excuse me. And sometimes when you poke somebody inside the ribs, they get mad, and you might get punched or you might get kicked or something like that there. But anyway, I'm gonna try to do it live on air here, and just to say, oh, not yet. Oh, I've been practicing. Oh, one more time, folks. Oh, well, anyway, you get the idea of it, and also we have our hands to play with. One of the games that we used to play when we was just had 1 or 2 people there was your thumbs. You would play try to catch your thumb, and this here would be my hand, and this here would be somebody else's hand, and then you would kind of interlock hands, and then you would try to catch one another thumb, and you could play that there inside the car, inside the church, inside the school, outside. You could play with anyway. So your hands is a very good toy to play with. You could like Steve had the spoon to play with. You could just pick up a ball and just throw the ball up in the air and just have fun with itself. And I hope you enjoyed my Babalu. It is very nice. You can look it up on eBay, and they usually sell for about 35 to 45 bucks or so. And it's really fun. And then sometimes some of their groups can catch it this way. That is really fun, though. And I hope you enjoy my toy.
All right. Thank you, Henry. I had to laugh when you said that sometimes you played the finger game in church. I'm wondering how that went over with the people that you were with, like your mom and dad, for example. But we may never know that. Our next guest is Sandy Roundtree, and she's going to tell us about her favorite toy.
Good morning. I live in Swannanoa, North Carolina, and I'm an ARP volunteer. I grew up in the small town of Dixon, Illinois, which was about 100 miles west of Chicago. It was Ronald Reagan's hometown. That's its claim to fame here. I had wonderful maternal grandparents, and I, being the first grandchild, in their family, I spent a lot of time with them. My grandmother would have tea parties in the backyard, and I have that tea set that she gave my sister and myself, that we used, as well as just other paper cups and that, but she gave us this for Christmas, and my mother kept it for me, and I now have it on display in my living room. But it had also a sugar and creamer and other pieces with it. I think there's a 6-piece set of the cups and saucers and little plates, and so I enjoy this. Like Henry, I remember playing the thumb game, but also the one where you use the yarn or string or whatever, and you would put your fingers in and take it out and make it a cat's cradle and that kind of thing. I also have a picture. Let me straighten it up. The bottom one. This is my grandmother and me and my sister in her backyard having a tea party. I don't think we were using that set. I think that came earlier, but that's a favorite picture that I have of her and my sister and myself. So, but like the others, bicycles, simple games, playing jacks, I remember was a big thing. We played that at recess outside, and we didn't have a whole lot of toys like the kids have now. We made our toys, or we played games outside, rode our bikes. Bike riding was a big thing, an important thing. And so remembering those toys that are saved are a really important memory, especially the ones that we shared with others.
Thank you, Sandy. So true. I mean, the very earliest toys were sticks and rocks, probably.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Leanne would know. But as far as I know, sure, we do have time. Why don't we bring everyone back for a discussion? And anyone in our audience is more than welcome to write about their toy, and I bet one of us played with it as well. All right. Leanne, was I right that sticks and rocks were probably the earliest toys of all?
Yes, they were. In fact, the stick was voted into the Hall of Fame only just a few years ago, but it is definitely the oldest known toy as far as ones the children have played with and evidence of children playing with it than the history of, well, basically Earth as far as historians and archaeologists are concerned. But it is in the Toy Hall of Fame now, which is really neat.
I wonder how they chose the one stick that is in the Toy Hall of Fame for all time. So I'm wondering, we have a behind the scenes person who is monitoring what we hear from people out there in the audience. Do we have any other toys, Rebecca? No comments. It's a shy bunch, I guess. Well, unless there's anything else, we could wait a minute or two. Any other comments from our guest today?
Rebecca asked if my tea set was real china, and no, it's not real china.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing I would always encourage grandparents to do, if you haven't done already, is to go to the museum. It's a wonderful place to enjoy, but also go to Cherokee, see a powwow, get those kids enthused for something like that. Always take an opportunity to go to a group and sing, even if that's just caroling at Christmas.
Yep.
This is Viola. Can you
Hi,
hear
Viola.
me?
Yep.
I tell my nieces and nephews and other people too, sometime it might be good just to do a show and tell with your children and your grandchildren, and let them see how they can think out of the box and create their own toy, their own fun, instead of going on the internet, games on the internet. Make your own, enjoy your own. You can appreciate it better when you made it yourself. And you can pass that on to your children, that you don't have to buy things all the time to have a great time. But the hardest thing for me was to find some grass now that we used to have, because my daddy didn't have a lawnmower, so the wild grass just stood up all over the place. But for me to just find this grass to show you guys how we made and plaited the hair with the roots, it was hard because everybody cut their grass, so you couldn't pull grass up. I finally found a batch that would work a little bit, but our baby grass dog looked a lot better than this one because it had more roots and more green grass on it because it was higher.
All right. Well, thank you for that wise comment, Viola. And now our behind the scenes Wizard of Oz is saying goodbye to everyone except me and Leanne. Any final comments, Executive Director?
I just want to say thank you to the woman behind the curtain for your hard work. Rebecca, you did a great job, and thank you for letting the Swannoa Valley Museum be a part of this program. It was really fun. We appreciate it. And I hope everybody who's listening and anybody who hasn't before, please come out and see us. We have lots of really cool exhibits. Our latest exhibit right now is on our firehouse building, which is where we're housed as a museum. It was built in 1921, so it is 100 years old. All right, back to you, Margie.
All right. Well, we're done now. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.